Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to talk about how I go from my car being just a sort of a street car and then progress in getting a bolt and roll cage into finally getting a weld and roll cage. So the backstory is I had the street car and I wanted to do as little sort of permanent structures that would make it um, not legal for the road, because I still like the idea of having a street car. Street cars something cool about the fact you can go get some groceries, take it for like a Sunday drive, whatever, and then still take the track. But unfortunately, as time progresses, the sport obviously does as well, and so what happens is the cars get more powerful, go faster, and what happens is safety comes into consideration. So initially the roll cage, I didn't have one. I was taking passengers. I had that luxury at that time and that kind of early sort of 2010s sort of to 2016, and then the rules changed and they basically made it so you had to have a bolt and roll cage to take at the very little to take passengers, which I did, and it meant that I just had to drill a couple of holes in the chassis, and then it didn't really damage or affect me potentially in warrant of fitness. And so that was the idea, and so that way I can kind of preserve the car in the future if I ever wanted to put it back onto the road. Unfortunately, so I was doing drift days, and then all of a sudden they brought in side intrusion bars, which are basically the bars that go in between the cage, between kind of the main hoop and the front laterals, which is, I guess, the A pillar to the B pillar, and basically put a horizontal bar or diagonal bar that goes across here. And the idea of that is to basically stop side impacts. If you get T-boned coming in here, and this is a thin skin and smashing straight into your side. It makes sense to have that, to bring that rule in, is because all of the drift cars are crashing and the front ends are sort of getting welded up into a solid structure. So they're pretty much almost like cut and tubed front ends and rear ends. So like, this is no good. It's almost like getting hit by, I imagine, a speedway car. So, okay, so then what I did is, I'll be clever. I'll work around the rules. I'll put some removable side intrusion bars that will adapt to the bolt and roll cage which I had in there. And that was all signed off to do. I think I did one track day with it. And then the next one, some rules came in place, and I kind of got blindsided literally 2 weeks before the track day, and then basically ruined that dream. And so my hand was forced to basically make this car, or go down the Motorsport New Zealand roll cage route, which basically requires you to pretty much put a roll cage in, get it homologated, and basically it's a certain standard. That means you can do all motorsports events. It means I wouldn't have any problems in the future if this came back again. So that's sort of where today's journey will be about, and there's some sort of ups and downs about how I sort of got there. And yeah, there was a couple of attempts to get this roll cage done, and yeah, I'll do a bit of a talk over and the pictures that sort of come across the timeline, and you guys will see. So back in 2020, I acquired myself a 6-point bolt and roll cage. This specific one went through the dash, but it also wasn't suitable for the sunroof, so I had to take the sunroof out and do a bit of DIY to kind of patch it up. So I managed to do a couple of track days with like that. And then it got banned, and so then I needed to change it and add in some side intrusion bars and a harness bar. So I start with the harness bar, and I mock up the saddle joint with cardboard, and I use a jack handle basically to mock up the right height for the harness bar. And you can purchase these saddle joints off various websites. So the tubing, the way it's jointed is a male sort of socket that's welded in place, and that joins up with that female joint. And then you can also purchase these online as well. So I do the same with the side intrusion bars. basically mock it up, make sure I had the right angle so it matched up from the main hoop to kind of the front laterals known as sort of A pillar. And all after that, I added in the diagonal in the rear. And overall, I was pretty pleased with how this turned out. But unfortunately, the local track banned bolt-in roll cages regardless of side intrusion bars for taking passengers. So my hand was forced, and I had to sell the bolt-in roll cage and just move on. So now, with the roll cage gone, it was time to sort out a roll cage. And so I went through a company called Race Car Engineering. Basically, I designed what I wanted, and they give you a pre-bent roll cage kit that can get cut to length and welded in place. So all that was needed now is to find someone to make the roll cage. So myself, I'm a sort of amateur welder. I mean, I do have some skills, but I just didn't think that I'd be able to do the job that I wanted at the level of quality that I desired, I guess, on the roll cage. So I needed someone else to do it. So ended up getting a friend to make the roll cage. And here's where things went wrong. So there's a couple of life lessons you're not meant to. You're not meant to lend out your chainsaw. You're also not meant to get your friends or relatives to do a job for yourself. It's just too close to home and it gets too emotional when things go wrong. And so we'll call my sort of distant friend, call him Mr. B. So Mr. B had some experience with engineering, not specifically with rolling roll cages, but he was very enthusiastic to do this roll cage for me. And I was quite optimistic about it. I said what I want to do. I said I'm going to have the pre-bent cages because you didn't have a tube bender. And so basically that was the plan. And I got the car ready and chucked it on the trailer and basically took it to Mr. B's residence and proceeded to get this roll cage made. So it became very apparent that Mr. B didn't really have the time to do this roll cage or the experience to this roll cage, and so I was very clear with what I wanted with specifics, having the main hoop as close as the top to the roof as possible, because I was really concerned about, I've had the previous bolt-on roll cages, the roll cage bar, the front lateral coming and hit your helmet. It's really annoying, and I've been in other people's cars and it's just not desirable at all. And so this person's place wasn't close by, so it was a good half an hour travel. So I remember when I first saw the photos, I sort of beamed it straight down there, and because I noticed that the main hoop was too low. And when I got there, I was kind of speechless. Like it was just basically he was under pressure for another job, and he needed to try and pump this cage out. This is the way I sort of interpreted it. And so it wasn't going to pass homologation tech. So all cages need to go past, I think it's a technician that's validated from NZ Motorsport. And there's certain rules. You've got to have the roll cage, it's got to be within a certain distance from things. So like one of them, for example, was the windscreen. You can't have the front laterals 100mm in from the sides of the A pillar. Because obviously it obstructs your view and it's terrible for yourself anyway. And so I straight away pointed that out because I was just like, I'm not going to get emotional about this. It's just point out the things that are wrong. And so we try to cut off what was tacked and try and move it out. But because the roll cage was really cut, it meant that the roll cage, when we moved it back to try and lift it up to move to the side, it was really compromised. And so my helmet was hitting on the where it was going to sit. And so I tried to jack it up and it just wasn't going to work. And so I had to make a tough decision. It was quite awkward, and I just sort of said, like, look, I'm going to pull the pin on this. The timing doesn't suit you. The expectation I'm getting doesn't match me, and so it was this very awkward sort of thing where I had to kind of pull out of a job or my car being done and then take it out. And so it could have been something that was quite awesome. We could have built some awesome roll cage and sort of gained some sort of really high five sort of moment achieving all this, but it ended up being kind of quite awkward and kind of sad really. And so yeah, ended up basically tail between my legs, I guess, taking this car back all the way back to my house. And so it was quite time consuming that I had to do all this, because obviously I don't have a trailer, so I had to hire one, and then going there and back, it's kind of cost at my expense, and it obviously was some compensation, but I don't want to go into the details of that. But overall, we both lost from this. And so now I needed a plan going forward. And so what it is, I need to chop out the old roll cage, which is quite time consuming. And also found there was no protection on the window in between where it was getting welded, so that all the I don't know what it was, back quarter window all had weld splitters all over it. Nothing was used to guard it, which annoyed me. And when I cut the roll cage down, the top of the main hoop wasn't even fully welded. Like, I was just gobsmacked by the quality of this. And you can see that in the pictures here. So very disappointed then, so I would have failed homologation. And then when I finally cut it, decided, oh, maybe I'll cut everything out, sorry. Cut the feet out with the roll cage on the main hoop mounts to. I thought I'd investigate further, and once I took off that bottom plate, I was just shocked. What happened is Mr. B hole sawed through the first skin and shot all the way through the bottom of the chassis. So literally cut a hole straight through, and this is what you can see with the light coming through on the photo. So what I need to do, I just couldn't believe it. I didn't even bother telling Mr. B this happened, because we kind of things were more or less moved on from that. So what I need now is to fix up all the problems, which was time consuming, patch up the holes, and get the cage ready to find a sort of someone that knew what they're doing, more or less. I fixed up the hole from the previous mess. I designed this piece here to fit on both sides, and it's kind of a unique shape, but managed to fit inside. Yeah, it creates a bit of a channel in terms of a vertical that will hopefully just sort of make it a bit stronger. Looks kind of like that. A name popped up, a guy called Ben. He was local to me, about 20-minute drive, and so once the car was prepped, I needed to get the roll cage, or get a way of transporting it there. And so the way I did it is I created an A-frame, and so this is the pictures here, that the A-frame allows you to sort of tow your car without having the need to put on a trailer, so it's very quick and convenient for short distances. So it took me a decent amount of while to kind of set up all to get the right angles and sort of get it so it pull true. And it's kind of weird sort of phenomenon where when you turn, the way the A-frame pulls the car, it automatically turns the front wheel. So it looks like there's a ghost driver. It's kind of quite creepy, but it basically tracks where you go. The only problem is you can't reverse with it. The way that the caster arms work. If you reverse, the wheels will flop off to lock and you can't back it out. So you've got to be very careful with planning where you go, that you don't get kind of pigeonholed and need to back it out. And so Ben was very receptive with like doing the roll cage. He basically said, yep, I can do this exactly, and ended up MIG welding and TIG welding. Very good job overall. There was one defect, which was hard to tell, but like the front lateral wasn't quite the same angle. So it's not quite sitting in the right spot, but overall, amazing job. basically it got signed approved by the local roll cage technician from New Zealand Motorsport in this area, and now it's homologated. So pretty much the car is ready now for track days and whatever I want to do now. So it's kind of really cool, and it's really stoked, and yeah, really looking forward to, I guess, using this and taking friends and like basically ripping rubber again, and like getting those sort of high five moments with the passenger.
High five.
And just enjoy drifting again, and any other sort of grip event I want to go to.